Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. General Hospital. Ava Jerome's steamy new man. Meet this game-changing guy. General Hospital gives several women in Port Charles that really need love in their lives, but none more than Ava Jerome, Maura West. Today we're going to talk about the guy that needs to get with Ava, Maura West, to spice things up. Ava has had two men in her life recently. One was a guy she cared about, or thought she cared about, and the other was just a very hunky distraction. Of course, I'm talking about Rick Lansing, Rick Hurst, and Cody Bell, Josh Kelly. Ava's past entanglements on General Hospital. A closer look at Rick and Cody. To be honest, I'm not sure that Rick ever had a place in Ava's heart. I don't think she loved Rick. I think Ava got a crush on her lawyer and they had really good chemistry. But I don't think Rick inspired any sort of head-over-heels feelings in Ava. I also think that part of the attraction to Rick is the fact that she's competitive. Ava knew Rick still had feelings for Elizabeth Weber, Rebecca Herbst, and Ava wanted Rick to choose her over goody-two-shoes Elizabeth. So, I think mostly it was just because Ava's petty like that. As for Rick, he would prefer to be with Liz, but she said no. So, he was with Ava because she's sexy and she was a steady income stream until her money ran out, and then they were doing blackmail together. But from his side also, Rick and Ava were not a great love. I never saw Rick and Ava having any long-term potential for many, many reasons. As for Cody, he was just a boy toy for Ava to play with to make Rick jealous. There was never any long-term potential for Cody and Ava either. That was just that Christina Corinthos Davis, Kate Monsey, scheme. But Ava does need a love interest because a sexy bad girl like that is too hot to waste. Ava's type on GH, a history of villains and good guys gone wrong. Rick is a pretty typical choice for her. Ava usually goes to extremes and she chooses villains or super good guys. So Rick's a villain, obviously, and so was Franco Baldwin, Roger Howarth, back in his crazy killer days, and that's when she dated him. He's another of Ava's exes. An example of one really good decent guy she dated was Griffin Monroe, Matt Cohen, but he couldn't deal with Ava's bad girl antics and started dating her daughter Kiki Jerome, Haley Aaron, instead. And if you remember, she thought she was falling in love with sweet Dr. Kevin Collins, John Lindstrom. But Ava really had his psycho brother Ryan Chamberlain, also John Lindstrom, in her bed. So, that's the ultimate bad guy thing. Let's talk about who's on the scene in Port Charles that might catch Ava Jerome's eye. Unfortunately, she is already on Jen Sidwell's, Carlo Rota, radar. Ava and Sidwell have been flirting up a storm ever since he came to town. Now, at first, Ava was desperate to sell him pricey artwork because she was broke. But then, Sidwell's flirty ways seem to legit charm her, and they have Lucas Jones, Van Hansis, and Marco Rios, Adrian Anchando, in common. He is interested in Ava, but only because of how deeply she's tied to Sonny Corinthos, Maurice Bernard, because of their daughter, Avery Corinthos, Ava and Grace Scarella. Now, as spicy as Sidwell is, I hate the idea of Ava being with him. First of all, Sidwell would kill Ava at a moment's notice on a whim or if he thought it would do something for him. Secondly, Sonny would flip out if she was with Sidwell and he would try to keep Avery away from Ava. And we don't need another custody battle between those two. Exploring potential suitors for Ava on General Hospital. But who else is single and ready to mingle in Port Charles that might catch Ava's eye? Well, it might be interesting, stick with me on this, to see Nathan West, Ryan Pavey, with Ava, Maura West. And that's because I don't think that is really Nathan. I think there's somebody else in his head that's wearing Nathan's face, basically like a mask. Imagine if Ava thought she was with hunky good guy cop Nathan only to find out it wasn't him at all and it was really, behind that face, Caesar Faison, Anders Hove, or his awful other son Peter August, Wes Ramsey. It'd be kind of a redo of when Ava was shocked and horrified by the Ryan and Kevin twist. Ava's electric chemistry with Sonny on GH. Also, and I know a lot of people will hate this, I enjoy Ava with Sonny. I mean, Maura West has chemistry with everybody. She would have chemistry with a fern. Back when her brother Julian Jerome, William DeVry, was around, he and Ava even had chemistry, which was a bit disturbing. But Maura and Maurice are electric together. And Ava clearly has some buried feelings for Sonny. Remember, GH teased them getting together back when Sonny's meds were being messed up by the dirty pharmacist. I think it was Valentine Cassadine, James Patrick Stewart, that was doing that, right? So Ava was living in Sunny's penthouse and falling for him. And there was what felt like some affection there. I've actually hoped for a while that they would put Ava and Sunny in a real romance, but I'm not sure the GH writers would ever do it. And I know a boatload of fans would rage if Ava got with Sunny in any meaningful way. But I still kind of low-key ship it even though I know it's not going to happen. Weighing the odds on other potential romances. In that same vein, Dante Falconeri, Dominic Zamprogna, is single, but I think he would literally set himself on fire before he touched Ava. The role she played in his brother Morgan Corinthos, Brian Craig, death is enough to make the idea of him being with Ava a total no-go nightmare for Dante. One guy that might have worked would have been Professor Hank Dalton, Daniel Goddard, with Ava, Maura West. But after Sidwell, Carlo Rota, made Dalton some dead junk in Lara's trunk, that's off the table. But let's circle back around to Cody because I did think he and Ava had chemistry and some potential. But we know Cody has that crush on Molly Lansing Davis, Kristen Vaganos. Then again, I like the recast actress and all that, but the character is pretty boring. So, it would kind of be a shame to waste Cody on Molly. I think putting him with Ava would be a much better use of Cody. But I'm sure General Hospital will stick with the cowboy and lady lawyer slow burn instead. Jason Morgans, Steve Burton, single, but he hates Ava and he's clearly meant to be with Britt Westbourne, Kelly Thibault, so he's not an option. A match made in hell. Could Drew Kane be Ava's perfect partner? But you know who could be a match made in hell for Ava? Now this guy is married right now, but we all know that's not going to last. What about Congressman Cutthroat, aka Drew Kane, Cameron Matheson? We all know that Willow Tate, Caitlin McMullen, hates her new husband and she is going to cut Drew out of her life as soon as possible. Then of course he will be enraged and all alone. And I'm betting that Willow is going to make it clear that they will never, ever, ever be together. So that crazy psycho Drew is going to need somebody new to fixate on. And why not Ava? She usually does better when she's involved with someone who's not a good guy, and Drew is definitely not a good guy. And Ava doesn't mind a little bit of crazy in her men. She was hooking up with Franco back in his really dark days. Plus, Ava seems to like to take Nina's sloppy seconds like she did with Rick, and Nina did tell Ava that the sex was hot. So,